Hello, everyone. My name is Victoria McCoy, and welcome to the Marine Corps League Scuttlebutt. We take topics every month and we discuss them, sometimes in a social setting. This one here is a very, very important topic, and it affects everyone, and that is suicide awareness as well as seasonal depression. I'm sure all of us are feeling the stress, especially our Marine Corps League members and our veterans all over the place as patriots are scrambling around to make sure our Toys for Tots programs that we support in the reserves are definitely pushing out. That causes a lot of stress on our personal lives, finances, and death happens every day, but sometimes during the holiday season it can bring a lot more depression. So we're going to talk about that this evening. Before I introduce our guest speaker for this evening, I would like to recognize that our National Commandant, Warren Griffin, is on board, and I'd like to ask him to please open with some opening remarks. Go ahead, Sir Commandant.
Thank you, Victoria. First of all, just let me say that, Victoria, you've set the gold standard for these Zoom conferences that now being picked up by detachments, divisions, and different groups throughout the Marine Corps League. It originated with you. You showed them how to go, and now they're going along well. Everybody can always do better. They're going well, but you set the standard. So when I was elected to be the national commandant, there were two programs or projects that I felt in. One, helping the Marines are struggling. A lot of us are doing well, nice. Our brother and sister Marines struggling. That will be discussed. Ryan stepped forward right after I was sworn in, said, "I'm here to help. Can I please join in on this?" He's taken the ball and he's run with it, and I really appreciate it. The other issue was field physical fitness, and we'll deal with that any time. But tonight, I'm glad that we have the right to work with Brian, learn more about how we can help the Marines. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for those opening words, sir. And I appreciate the kind words you've given to my committee. I will never take the kudos, if you will, because I have an amazing committee. And actually, Brian Gillespie was the committee chair of this committee before me, and he definitely set the bar for me to follow through in some very, very large footsteps. So thank you for Brian for that. So without further ado, because this is going to, and if it goes over an hour, I will tell you, nobody's going to log off. We may stop the recording for some social time afterwards, but please stay tuned, listen to everything that is being said, and hold all your questions and or comments towards the end. At this time, I would like to introduce Brian Gillespie. Brian Gillespie served in the Marine Corps from 1982 to 1986 with 1st Tank Battalion, 1st Marine Division, deploying on the USS Bella Wood. For Westpac, 1984, he was involved in Operations Team Spirit, Colonel Blitz, and Valiant Usher. In 1986, he deployed to Camp Fuji, Okinawa, Japan, as a part of Unit Deployment Program. In 2010, Brian retired from the Manasquan Police Department in New Jersey after serving as a patrolman and a detective for 21 years. Brian previously worked for Rutgers University Behavioral Health Care as a supervising mental health specialist for Vets for Warriors and Cop to Cop, both nationally recognized 24/7 peer support programs. He currently works for the Recovery Centers of America at Raritan Bay in South Amboy, New Jersey, as a treatment advocate for the RESCU Rescue First Responders Treatment Program, and is recognized as a certified peer recovery specialist. Brian, you have the microphone and you have as much time as you need. Welcome aboard, sir.
Awesome. Thank you, Victoria. First off, thank you, Commandant, for having me here tonight and having me spearhead what we're going to be doing in the future. Victoria, great job with what you've done with public relations. I forgot that I had sent that to you. I probably could have cut out about 3 slides now, but let's see what I can do here. I'm going to try and share my screen, and hopefully there's nothing inappropriate on here. Where am I? All right. Bear with me. My name is Brian Gillespie. I am a Marine Corps League member since beginning of, I guess, the late 80s. So we'll get a little bit more into that. Victoria said I have about 3 hours to share my life story with you. So I'm glad that you're going to be hanging on. If not, we could follow up later tonight, and we'll see what happens. I ask that if you do have a question, please wait till after I'm done. I don't want to get rolling and kind of get tied up with other stuff because we usually go down rabbit holes and we can never get out of them sometimes. Um, I am not a professional. I'm a Marine, and I've done some things in my life, and that I currently do now. I get a lot of help with, but what you see on the screen here are things that are important to me and things that have made me who I am today. Let's get a little bit more into that. My name is Brian Gillespie. As I have said, I was a corporal in the Marine Corps 1982 to 1986. I did serve with distinction from the 1st Tank Battalion, 1st More Div. For my Marine Corps League, I joined in the late 80s, and the only reason I joined the Marine Corps League is I saw those license plates. I said, man, how do I get those license plates? So I wound up joining that and got those plates, and I never did anything with the Marine Corps League. I just kept sending my dues in and kept my license plates. Around 2008, I came up with the idea of let's start a Marine Corps League down here. And I called Barb D'Angelo and I said, hey, I got a great idea. So I was a founder of the past commandant of the Jersey Shore Marines. I'm also a member of the Jersey Shore Skeeters Pound 136 Wolf Wolf. I was past National Public Relations Chair. As Victoria has said, I was past Chief of Staff for 2 commandants in the Department of New Jersey, and I wear a couple of pretty ribbons around my neck sometimes. I'm also a retired Mounted Squad police officer from 1989 to 2010. During my time there, I was a patrolman, I was a detective, and I also worked in the community policing unit. A lot of that will come back to help me later on in my life, but I never thought that it would help me then. I also worked for Rutgers University Behavioral Health Care, which is top in its class for all behavioral health care within the East Coast, possibly the nation, because they do a lot of good stuff out of there and they travel the world. While I was there, I worked with Vets for Warriors and Cop to Cop as a supervisor, and they are both nationally recognized peer support services. At that time, when I was traveling with Vets for Warriors, there was a big thing about peer support. And I would ask people when I go to these transitional summits, and I was like, who does your peer support? And they'd be like, what's peer support? I said, well, who do you talk to? So I don't talk to anybody. Did you talk to your wife, your family? No. I said, you talk to people in your platoon? Oh yeah, we talk about that stuff, but I don't talk to anybody else. From Cop to Cop, I started working for Recovery Centers of America at Raritan Bay. What I do there is I'm a treatment advocate for the Rescue First Responders Program. And RESCUE stands for Recovering Emergency Service Community United. And what I do there is I help first responders get into recovery, not just first responders, anyone who needs recovery, but I strictly work with first responders, which cover police, fire, EMS, corrections, veterans, and military. I also help facilitate meetings for them outside and online meetings for first responders throughout the country. I help people try to continue with that. As a side note, we just celebrated, I say celebrated, but we had our 300th first responder come through the door in 2 years' time. And that seems like a high number, and it doesn't even scratch the surface because I know of how many first responders struggle to not get help and how many first responders go out of state seeking help. But that 300 is significant, and we continue to do that daily. There's some great pictures just so you get a little bit more insight from me. That's that picture in that dress blue jacket that's sliced right down the back. That was in, let's see, I graduated November 19th of 1982. I'm a Hollywood Marine, proud of it. Born and raised in New Jersey, and I got sent to San Diego. The second picture, that is me not wearing the hat. That is my son, who was 2 years old. That's Brendan. And the last picture is I also play in, for almost 30 years now, in police bagpipe bands, as I like to say. I'm a drummer, so I beat it, I don't blow it. All right, now we can move on. One thing I am proud of, May 17th of 2015, I surrendered. I've been in recovery for over 8.5 years. And the reason I bring that up is because some of the things that we deal with as first responders and as veterans, okay? I am proud of the fact that I am a Marine. I am proud of the fact that I was a police officer, but I'm most proud of the fact of what I was able to do and accomplish my life to get sober. Carry that on. It's a Unity Service Recovery. This is a program of attraction, not promotion. But what we do with it, with our first responders, is we deal with that stigma every day. And without someone, I feel like with me, that they see that there is someone just like them that struggled, that got help, and got better. So having someone out in the forefront to let them know that they are not alone, that is paramount to what we do and what we need to do to get better. Okay. And help another. Speaking of helping another, after conversations with Commandant Griffin, we came up with HAMSL, help a Marine, save a life. HAMSL mission statement would be to aid and assist Marine Corps League members and their families when needed with resources, referrals, and compassionate care. Compassionate care. Understanding the difficulties faced by individual Marines, the committee stands at the ready to take care of our own. Now, what does that actually mean? Now, what that means is that we saw this firsthand at our last convention in Oklahoma. There was a Marine that needed help, and I'd like to think that we were able to help him and his family and give him some direction because they just didn't know what to do anymore. Okay. They didn't understand or they didn't even know about that there was a first responder component to going to a recovery place. Right. So we helped out with that. That's what this committee is going to do. I also identify Marine Corps League members who can help members and their families with mental health issues, substance use disorder, not just any member or a specific region, since we'll be doing very sensitive topics and issues. Stigma will be eradicated. We have to put trust into the committee to find the appropriate care for the said members to come for us in a confidential manner. Now, if you tell me, hey, I love to serve on a committee, I couldn't wait to wear a gold cover, I'll tell you to piss off. Okay. This is going to be a committee that's going to help some people. I need people that will not only want to do the right thing, but actually know where to go for resources. I know there are so many different resources throughout this country. And to verify, number one, which is what I kind of do in my job, and to know where someone is in the country and what they need, we need those type of people to cover the entire country to figure out where they can go. For specific PTSD reasons, for specific recovery issues, for anything, and for their family, not just for them. Okay, that's what HAMSL is going to do. This came out recently, the 2023 VA National Suicide Report, and I posted this on a connections page. I'm not sure if anyone took some time to read this, but I know you're not going to be surprised to find out that the data showed that suicide rose at least 11.6%. We knew that that 22 a day was not that number, and we knew that they were holding those numbers because they didn't want to publish anything. So over for this last year, 11.6%, so that's 6,392 deaths. That's one too many. They said the highest rate for the suicide was in the younger veterans, 18 to 34. Now, I'm not sure how our demographics are. I'd love to see that someday, to see how the Marine Corps League is split in age-wise. But 18 to 34, we don't have many of them. But we sure can help a lot of them. And the one thing I found interesting, the most common issue reported was chronic pain. Look at that, 55%. That's a lot, okay? But the interesting part was the veterans who didn't seek VA healthcare had a higher rate of increase in suicide than those in VA care. And that would have been 62% in males and 95% in females. Astounding numbers there, okay? VA also reported that 1 in 10 veterans from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan have alcohol or drug or substance disorders. Okay. That's just 2 wars, folks. That's not going past Iraq. That's just covering Iraq and Afghanistan. I'd have to think that if you added more, those numbers would absolutely increase. Additionally, they report 1 in 3 veterans seeking treatment for substance use disorder have PTSD. Out of those 300 first responders I've seen in those 2 years, every one of them had PTSD. A lot of them were not connected with VA services. Now, this is not an endorsement. This is not a bash on any VA. But if there are services available for us, we need to get out there. We need to recommend them to those who need help. So the military family predators, right? Beware. We've all seen this. Whether it's not you, it's a family member, it's a friend. We have all dealt with this in some point. Anger, alcoholism, workaholic, cynicism, love triangles, mental health, depression, suicide. Hell, I think I check off about every one of them. So we're going to dive into what we call question, persuade, and refer, QPR for the Marine Corps League. QPR is not intended to be a form of counseling or treatment. I may be a certified peer recovery specialist, but I am not a counselor, and I don't claim to be one. QPR is intended to offer hope through positive action. Positive action. Can you imagine that? Trying to do something good for someone or for yourself? That's positive action. We don't see enough of it sometimes. Here's some suicide myths that I get a lot of these that come up, and every time it comes up, they always have that person, you can't stop a suicide. That guy's just going to do it. That's wrong. That's a myth. I have seen veterans in crisis get the help they need, and they had never been suicidal again. If you could run a veteran about suicide, it only make them angry, increase the risk. That is absolutely incorrect. If you ask someone directly about their suicidal intent, it lowers their anxiety and it opens up communication between you and him. Opens up communication. That's the biggest thing. We don't communicate. It will lower the risk of his impulsive or her impulsive act. Only expert can prevent suicide. I told you, man, you know me now. I'm a drunk Marine cop. I am not an expert, and I have helped prevent suicides. Okay? Suicide prevention is everyone's business, everyone on here, because we deal and we know people that have problems and deal with everyday issues. Anyone can help prevent that tragedy. Suicidal veterans will keep their plans to themselves. Another myth. Most suicidal veterans communicate their intent sometime during the week preceding their attempt. Now, this happened to me probably 15 years ago, and I wasn't involved directly with this, but it was a good friend, and he had committed suicide. And at his funeral, it was a local police officer, and where I worked, there's a highway that runs right down the road. It probably covers about 5 different towns. Well, he was very well known in the PBAs down here. And what happened was at the funeral, guys just got started to talk, and they were like, yeah, he just stopped by our place about a week and a half ago. Just wanted to say hi, see how things were doing. And then the guy says, oh, shit, man, he's just stopped by our place about a week and a half ago. And the other guy goes, wait a minute. He was at our place, too. I'm like, no way. He was saying goodbye, but we did not know it at the time. We pieced it together afterwards. We would have never known that if they didn't meet and start talking until after he died by suicide. More myths. Those who talk about it don't do it. That's incorrect too. If you talk about it, they may try. They may even complete an act of self-destruction. Once that veteran decides to complete suicide, there's nothing anyone can do. Incorrect. Suicide is the most preventable kind of death, and almost any positive action may save a life. There we are again with that positive action. That's what's going to save a lot of this, or what we do, and moving forward. Positive action. Cues and warning signs, okay? The more cues and signs observed, the greater the risk. But I must warn you, you have to take all signs seriously. Very, very important. Some cues: previous suicide attempt that you may know about. Previous suicide by a loved one, friend, a colleague. Despair, hopelessness, depression. Increased drug or alcohol use. Marital family issues, financial crisis, criminal charges. A lot of times you see people, they're caught up with criminal charges, people drop them like a hotcake, depending on what it is. No one wants to talk to them. Have you asked if that guy needs help? Some of these are going to come back up again. So some of the direct verbal cues that you can hear and take action on. I wish I was dead. If such and such doesn't happen, I'm going to kill myself, right? Well, the indirect verbal cues. My family would be better off without me. Soon you won't have to worry about me anymore. Here, take this. I won't be needing it. Giving away of possessions, and that's going to come up again. More behavioral cues. Making or changing a will. Giving away possessions. Sudden interest or disinterest in religion. And a relapse into substance use. Now, does this mean that if one of these things happen, they're looking to commit, die by suicide? No. But these are cues that we have to pay attention to. Our situational awareness comes up very, very prominent in this. Rejection by a loved one or divorce, anticipated loss of financial security, death of a spouse, of a friend, especially if it happens by accident or if it's a tragedy or suddenly. More cues that we kind of talked about: the making the will, giving away the possessions, the sudden change in religion, increased anger. So I talk about the increased anger. And if everything just makes that person mad, right? In recovery, we call that the broken shoelace theory. So you're tying your shoelaces out one day, and all of a sudden you break that shoelace and you flip out. Flip out. That shoelace didn't make you angry. It's everything before that shoelace. That shoelace was just the top of the iceberg for you. Okay. The coworker complaints, they start coming in. Citizen complaints start coming in, right? Change in work habits. The guy used to come in dressed to the nines. Next thing you know, he started coming in sweats and he's got some scrag on his face. Any change out of the ordinary that would make you say, something's up. You know, those days long gone where we just didn't care anymore. Now it's time to take care of our brother and sisters. You know, we are our brother and sisters keepers. The direct verbal cues you may hear. I decided to kill myself. I wish I were dead. I'm going to commit suicide. I'm going to end it all. And again, if such and such doesn't happen, I'll kill myself. This happened to me 2 weeks ago. And he wound up getting himself into a hospital. Very uncomfortable to be in that position. But you must know what to do when you're in that position. More indirect cues. My family would be better off without me. Soon you won't have to worry about me anymore. They'll be sorry. I can't take it much longer. Those are invitations to extend that communication. That's what they are. Hey, what are you talking about, bud? What's going on? I'm tired of life. I just can't go on anymore. Despair, right? Who cares if I'm not around anymore? I care, man. I'm here. I just want out. I won't be around much longer. Pretty soon, you won't have to worry about me. Again, all issues where you can bring up communication and just talk and listen. Being fired or suspended, a recent unwanted move, loss of a major relationship, death of a spouse, child, or a friend, especially if it was by suicide. Diagnosis of a serious terminal illness, loss of freedom, loss of financial security, loss of a cherished therapist, counselor, or spiritual leader. And that's a big one. So a lot of people don't want to let people know that they're in therapy, and that's awesome. But if they lose that person, they need to find more help right away. Fear of becoming a burden to others. No, I'm good. You know, God forbid we actually say what's on in our mind, right? Hey, you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. I'm good. Thank you. You know, what would happen is if, hey, you know what? I'm not doing good today. Oh, hey, sorry to hear about that. What do? You leave? No. We take care of each other. These are all the cues. So, what do you do now? Right? If in doubt, do not wait. You cannot wait. You must ask the question and not, hey, you thinking about hurting yourself? No. If the person is reluctant, you must be persistent in that. Don't talk to them in an open setting. Talk to them in a private setting. Just you and them. And allow them to talk freely. Active listening is a key component to this. And I mean active listening, not when you're talking. Okay, yeah. Give them plenty of time. You must be present in that conversation. And when I say you must be present, where are your feet? Your feet are right here. That's where you are. You are there with that veteran, that Marine. You must be present for their conversation. Do you have any number saved in your phone? Do you know what 988 is? We're going to go over that. You know, keep those resources handy. Do you know of counselors in your area or the closest VA? It's not how you ask that question. You must ask it. That's the most paramount thing. The less direct approach is, have you been unhappy lately? Or even, have you been very unhappy lately? Have you been so very unhappy lately that you're thinking about ending your life? And that's the roundabout way of saying it. If you're uncomfortable. And one big thing that I've always got answers on, do you ever wish you can go to sleep and never wake up? I have to say 9 out of 10 people I talked to said yes. The direct approach for the question. You know, when people are upset as you seem to be, sometimes I wish they were dead. Are you feeling that way? You look pretty miserable. Are you thinking about suicide? And are you thinking about killing yourself? The most direct question there. I have to emphasize this point. If you can't ask that question, please find someone who can. It is very uncomfortable to do. Very uncomfortable to do. And if you don't have a plan within your detachment or your department, and you just don't know what to do and you bounce somebody around, find someone who knows what they're doing to ask that question. Please. The persuade part, we're at the P. How to persuade someone to stay alive. Listen to the veteran, give them your full attention. We just covered that, right? Suicide is not the problem, only the solution to the perceived unsolvable problem to them. It's the only option to them. They can't see anything else. That is the only option that they want to do. Please do not rush to judgment when you're in this conversation, when you find this stuff out. Oh my God, I can't believe you. Oh my God, that's crazy. Instead of offering judgment, offer hope, right? Hold on, pain ends. That's what hope is. Offer them hope so they see what they have to live for. If we can do that and go back to that positive action we spoke about, we're going to be okay. They're going to be okay. Will you go with me to get help? Will you let me help you to get help? Hey, how about this, bro? Promise me you won't kill yourself until we get some help. I want to make a safety pact with you, and I've done this a number of times. I want to make a safety pact with you, okay? Do not hurt yourself until I can get you help or I can get you someone who can help you, right? Because your willingness to listen and to help can rekindle the hope and make all that difference. Remember, they are desperate. They are in despair. They need something to grab onto. If you can rekindle that hope to them, you're going to make all the difference in the world. Suicidal veterans often believe they can't be helped. You may have to get help for them if they need it, because you understand lived experiences. That's why having in the recovery field where I work in, having a first responder unit is vital to their recovery, because they don't trust anyone else except another Marine, another person who's been in the shit, right? So they'll trust you talking to another veteran, another Marine. The best referral involves taking that veteran directly to someone, whether it be an ER, whether it be a counselor, someone that can help them. The next best thing is getting a commitment from them to accept the help, and then helping them make the arrangements, getting that number for a counselor, getting the number for something for them to call, or doing something for them. The third best is, of course, going to be giving the referral information, try to get a good faith commitment, going back to that safety pack, right? And any willingness to accept help at some time, but even in the future, is a positive outcome. Okay? We have to move. We have to keep positive here. Can't go back. We have to keep moving forward. If you're dealing with that veteran, he's not open to referral of any sort, and you believe he's at that risk, he is there, it's very important you initiate the proper psychiatric emergency protocols to ensure the veteran's safety, as well as the safety of you and others, is secured. What does that mean? It means you need to contact someone right away. You need to contact the police. You need to contact a family member. You may need to contact an emergency. You need to do something right then and there. People don't want to get involved sometimes. Think about this, and this is the way it was put to me, and it's the only reason I repeat it this way. If you don't help that veteran and they take their life, you live with that for the rest of your life. Okay? If you're worried about that person, he's going to lose his guns, he's going to lose his permits. But if he's talking about taking his own life, that is more important than him losing his guns. Okay? I want him or her to live. I want them to get help. They're going to be mad. Oh, yeah, they're going to be mad. I'm guaranteeing you. They're going to thank you. when all is said and done. They did a study of people who jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge and survived. Imagine that, and survived. And every one of them said, as soon as I took that first step, I didn't want to do it anymore. But there was nobody there to talk to. So please remember this. Almost all the efforts to persuade someone to live instead of attempt suicide, they're going to be met with agreement and relief. Don't hesitate to get involved or take the lead. So that's a powerful number for all the people that have not attempted suicide, but were talked through it, have come back to say they lived through it because someone talked to them and they agreed with getting the help because someone was there. So another remembrance, please join the effort, right? Become a contact person for wellness in your detachment or your department. I'd love to see every department have a wellness officer, a HAMSL officer, whatever you want to call it, but someone who knows the parameters in their state to know where to go to, who to go to. Be trained, work with clergy, work with, therapist, psychiatrists. Bring someone into your department meeting to go over wellness and mental health. That would be awesome, right? And be able to let them know that there is counseling or treatment. Follow that up with a visit, a phone call, check in on that Marine, that veteran. You may not remember who helped you, but you're always going to remember who didn't. Let them know that you care about what happens to them, and don't let them slide back off saying, see, I knew no one was going to be there for me. So, man, I'm here for you, because you caring might save their life. And that's where that HAMSL came in. Help a Marine save a life. Phrases like, I want you to live. I am on your side. We'll get through this. We'll get through this. Notice that. Not you'll get through this. We don't do this alone. We can't do this alone. We'll get through this. Get others involved. Ask the person who could help them. Do you have another veteran? Do you have somebody at your work? Do you have a pastor, a priest, a rabbi, physician, anybody? And when they say, I got no one, that's when you say, you have me, because I'm here with you right now and I care. Talk to your fellow veterans. Monitor their emotions. We all know who's doing good and who's not doing good. Share your life with your family and friends. And that means the good, the bad, and the ugly. I was a person, and I still am, I'm very guarded. And a lot of different things have happened, books I've read, and people I've sat down with. Disclosure clears the soul. When you can sit and talk to someone and tell them your deepest, darkest secrets and what's going on in your life, there's a great feeling about yourself. Stick to the basics of good health. Exercise, balanced diet, regular sleep habits. If you don't have all three, try for one, right? Progress, not perfection in our world, right? Try for one of them. Engage in a program of active relaxation. And I'm not talking about just getting a beer down at the bar. Okay, that's not active relaxation. Take the time off to decompress. We don't do that enough. Laugh as much as you can, particularly at yourself. I do that very well, okay? Very well. Take the time. There's been times at the Marine Corps League convention, if anyone who knows me well enough will tell you, I've had some issues. And you wouldn't find me in a meeting. You'd find me by the pool, because that's where I would decompress. Work to make positive changes in our veteran culture. Can you do that? Can we do that as a whole? We absolutely can. But it takes a village. Get involved in something you believe in. There has to be a bigger purpose. You have to have something bigger than yourself, and we have to serve a higher purpose. Volunteer for programs, whether it's kids, schools, something, where you're giving back. You're of service to something. There is no greater feeling than helping out another individual. That serves our purpose. And when you do that, you're able to be there for someone else when they need it. Mental health. Everyone has it. You have to take care of it. You got a flat tire, you're not driving that thing all day long. You need to take care of that. You have to look after it. It's real and it's very complex. It's very important to us, and it's something that you can actually change. So when I say real and complex, I say that in a matter of, I have back here in New Jersey first responder therapists that I send certain people to that understand the first responder culture. Okay. So if you go to a regular therapist and you tell them the stuff that you've seen, they may not get it, even though they have their degree and they're all pretty sitting on a wall, but they may not understand you. What mental health isn't, it's not a sign of weakness. It's not just all in your head, right? And it's not something you could just snap out of like that. It's not always a negative thing, and it's not something to be ashamed of. Because you broke that stigma and said, man, I need help. Something's just not right. And the thing that we find is most astounding when I talk to everyone is like, man, I didn't know that there was help for me. I didn't realize that there was someone else like me. I didn't realize someone else had the same issues. I thought I was alone. The mental health is real. So I throw this in there just because I can, and it's my presentation, whether you like it or not. All right. So I always do the cage presentation when I do my presentations for my recovery for my business, right? Now, the specificity of this test alone was for 89%, and that was done in 1970. So the C, have you ever felt you should cut down on your drinking? The A, have you ever been angry or annoyed by anything anyone said about your drinking? G, have you recently felt guilty about your drinking? And E, have you ever needed an eye opener? An eye opener is, you have to have that drink early in the morning following that binge just to avoid that withdrawal. If you answered 3 out of the 4, you are highly likely to be alcohol dependent. If you answered yes to 4 of the 4, you're virtually guaranteed to be an alcoholic. So let's go back to that specificity. That was 89% in 1970. Do you think that's changed? We're 2022. You think enough have changed from 1970 to 2023? I think that 89% has got to be high 90s by now, after everything that's gone on in our lives and everything that we deal with day to day. 24/7 confidential crisis support for veterans and their loved ones. This is 988. This is the Veterans Crisis Line. Okay? When people don't want to talk to someone, you can talk to a counselor on the line. This is all over the country here. Okay? You could call, you can chat with them, you could text them. Now, this is something that the VA has put out with their Be There campaign. Some of the same things we talked about with the warning signs, right? Engaging in risky activities, feeling if there's no reason to live, withdrawing or isolating, showing violent behavior, giving away prized possessions. Well, the one thing that they do mention here is living in a home with a firearm can significantly increase the risk for self-harm, right? So I know that there's a whole big push and they want to know who's got guns in a home. And I'm not even talking about that. The issue that I dealt with 2 weeks ago, we talked about this, and he finally called me back and said, I gave all my guns to my dad. That's kind of what I'm talking about. If we're not doing good and we have those weapons in the house, give them to someone. Okay? Don't just lock them in the safe because they're there and you're going to sit there and you're going to look. Give them to someone. And if you know that person has weapons and you know that they're not doing well, ask that question. Hey, brother, let me get your weapons. I'll hold on to them. No one's going to know. Just let me get your weapons. The Be There for Veterans campaign through the VA is basically knowing where to get the help. Ask, keep them safe, be there, help them connect, right? We're going to go through this in a second, but BeThere12.com, right? That's what the VA offers. Some numbers for a resource list on a national level. The VA 411 main information line, your VA benefits hotline. Did you know that there was a national call center for homeless veterans? Did you know anything about that? Did you know that you can call that number and try to help a homeless veteran, and they have shelters throughout the country that they work with? There's an organization called Hope for the Warriors that they take care of a lot of stuff throughout the country. If you call them and say, man, I got this veteran with this issue, they're going to connect you with what needs to get done. Vets for Warriors. Vets for Warriors gave presentation to Bart D'Angelo a few years back, right? They are a national 24/7 peer support organization that if they can't handle your issue, they will get you to someone who can. Stop Soldier Suicide and Roger. Another organization, you can call them 24/7 and they connect you to services no matter where you are. And they could also help. They could also be that voice or that ear that you need to talk to, okay? When you're not sure. That's an extra step for us. Folks, we have come to that time of the day. If you have any questions besides asking me here, please don't hesitate to call me, 732-921-7411. My email is shoremarines@gmail.com. And I will end on this. And I end every presentation on this because this is what I was taught. And for what we do today and what we're talking about today, this comes around full circle for me. Never underestimate the impact that you may have on someone else's life. As veterans, we get to do that every day because of the way that people look at us. If you served overseas and you did stuff, you made that impact. But not just as being a veteran, but as being a person, being a husband, being a wife, being a son, being a daughter. Never underestimate the impact that you may have on someone else's life. We get to live that every day. I appreciate this forum tonight. I thank Victoria and I thank Commandant Griffiths for this. I couldn't be anywhere better on a Tuesday night than with you Marines. So thank you very much. Everyone have a great night. I'll be
Thank
around.
you so much.
I'll be signing autographs in the back if anybody's looking for me.
All right, Brian, go ahead and stop the screen share. Take a drink of water. I'm just going to say, wow. Let's go ahead. Just wow. Yeah, I see hands clapping, Unfortunately, we only had 32 online, but as I stated at the beginning, this will be recorded. This will be edited and put on the national YouTube channel. For those who do not know what the YouTube channel is, it is youtube.com/The Marine Corps League. You'll see all of our videos up there. At this time, again, I'll remind you, if you would like to share a story, ask a question, we'll keep names anonymous. Please understand that the public forum via YouTube is a public channel, and anyone will see and hear what is being discussed during this recorded session. If you would like some private time after the recorded session and still want to be, around your brothers and sisters here on this forum, we will stay as long as you want to chat. So to ask a question, raise your hand virtually, if you will. You're going to hover across the bottom of your screen, click reactions. At that point, you're going to go ahead and click raise your hand. I've already see some hands moving forward. Again, keep in mind, we want to keep the comments and testimonials to the basic minimum just to secure the time that we do have together here tonight. So at this time, I'd like to go ahead and open it up to questions. Robert Lee, you're up first. Jim Ulinsky, you are on standby. Go ahead, Robert.
Thank you very much, Brian. I want to thank you very much for this evening. Very educational. I've in the past, not that I've been much help, but I've had a couple people in the past I've talked to. Everything you spoke about this evening comes true. We do need to learn more about this, and I always told everybody my door and phone are always open and always on. So thank you again. Very, very good presentation.
Thank you so much, Robert, for that. And Brian, we're all going to say thank you, I'm pretty sure, but we'll keep it moving right along. Thank you so much for saying it out loud on this recorded session. The time he put into this presentation is amazing. Jim Ulinsky, you're up next. Bart D'Angelo, you're on standby.
Thank you, Brian, for the interesting conversation. I just wanted to mention that I came across a program called Overwatch Project. It's called overwatchproject.org, and they're fighting the war on suicide. And they said currently there's about 20 veterans and active military who commit suicide per day, and 70% of them are by firearms, which you mentioned greatly when you talked about trying to get the weapons from veterans or Marines who are having a problem. And the other thing I wanted to mention was that we usually have a call buddy 1 week during the year where we do that. We need to call people more than that, especially when they're sick, they're ill, they've lost a spouse, because usually there's going to be depression when that thing happens. Again, thank you so much for your enlightening conversation today.
Thank you so much for that, Jim. Appreciate it. There is somebody that's waving in the camera and doesn't know how to virtually raise their hand, and that's perfectly fine. We'll call on Barb D'Angelo next. Bill Taylor, you're on standby before Kathleen, please. Go ahead, Barb.
Brian, great job, as always. Brian and I have, this has been passionate for he and I for about 7 years, at least for me. He got me at Vets for Warriors, and now I continue with a different organization, actually working with people face to face. I will follow up with what Brian said. I would much rather have a friend, a league member, a dog pissed off at me because I insisted on getting them help or reported them than to have them dead. And that's just something to remember. People don't want to get involved. They don't want somebody upset. I would rather have you alive and pissed off at me than dead.
Very good point, ma'am. Thank you so much for emphasizing that. I've lost friends and family because of that, and I won't share my story. That's my story, and I do appreciate that, Barb. That means a lot to me personally. Okay, thank you again, Barb. Kathleen, you're up. Doc, you're on deck. Go ahead, Kathleen.
Thank you, Brian. What a great presentation you gave and that type thing. I think the idea of bringing this to a national level within the league brings attention to something that I tried to do a little bit here in Florida. Hopefully this may be another kick in the pants jump start for us. To do that, we try locally here in the state of Florida, there's an organization called the Fire Watch. So I'm sure everyone has a variety of different kinds of organizations and that type of a thing. Hopefully this will, as I said, sort of jumpstart some things here at upcoming conferences. I just had a meeting fortuitously earlier today, a young lady who's also a league member working with TBI, but one of the things that she has done is she's a person that has this arm's length of resources and that type of thing. And I'm hoping that by matching a lot of these folks together with resources and that type of thing, whether or not it's through Firewatch, each of our conferences do what National has done, where you'll have these types of resources and people representing those resources and organizations at minimally at all of our conferences and that type of thing, much as we've seen at Midwinter and National, and then trying to melt that down to our department level. So thanks for the opportunity. I think the step forward by the national leadership here is evidence of how important this really is, and hopefully we can all start to contribute. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Victoria. Kamala Griffin, thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. We'll be talking.
Oh, I think Brian's got a committee member. Outstanding. Thank you so much, Kathleen. Go ahead, Doc.
Brian, great presentation. First off, I'm part of the detachment here in Florence, South Carolina. I'm also a 22-a-day survivor. This year marks 18 years since I tried. So it's a very touching subject for me. My commandant of our detachment specifically sent me the email and said this would be perfect for you to get in because I'm also involved in my community on the mental health side. I'm a crisis team intervention. I have my crisis team intervention certificate and everything like that. So I actually do this on a daily basis where I help people with their mental health problems and everything like that, including going into the domestic violence and everything. One of the things that I do know is the average of 22 a day. It's about 60 veterans a day commit suicide, and it's actually 19 service members, active duty service members, and 9 spouses commit suicide a day, and 8 children of active duty and veterans commit suicide as well. So it's just not on the veteran side. It goes all the way through, and that's what I try to do. And then I'm in the process also of starting my own nonprofit to actually help with mental health on not just veterans, but on the first responders as well, because they go through just as bad as what we do. And Brian, once again, great presentation. You hit it right on the key.
Where are you located, Doc?
Florence, South Carolina.
South Carolina. Okay, Brian, I'm sure there's going to be a little conversation maybe you can have with Doc as well. Outstanding. And thank you for being here today and being here for all of these past years. And congratulations on being unsuccessful.
Hey, Doc, you're down in Florence. I'm going to send you my Bucky's wish list, okay?
Your Bucky's wish list? Okay, that's fine. Bucky's is only like 4 miles away from my house.
This is.
Don't rub that in.
You're making people jealous and their mouth is watering. All right, we have another hand up. Go ahead, Ray Morales. The floor is yours.
Offer a couple testimonials as well, if I may. First off, I live in North Dakota. Population in North Dakota is just shy of 700,000 people. When I served in one summer, we had 6 Marines in North Dakota. 6 Marines died by suicide. Part of that was another 4 or 5 other Marines, coincidentally, that made attempts one way, shape, or form. What came about as a part of that was working with another Marine. She is not a licensed clinician, very engaged employee with a local vet center. She and I devised a presentation that we took on a road show, if you will. What the presentation talking points included just the simple fact of what life-changing events that we as Marines particularly, but military members distinctly, and how we evolve with habit-forming events that we have been presented with. And we'll target on Marine Corps specifically. As soon as you step on them yellow footprints, you're having a PTS moment. Your life just changed from that point forward. Is it a PTSD moment? No, but it is a PTS moment. And then you take that and you amplify it with the training that you endure for how to kill up in the combat zone. That gets amplified. You take from a habit forming to beyond a habit forming environment. And then with that, it's very difficult for any of us to just shut that switch off. But part of that presentation that we took out there that she communicated was the simple fact that of not so much changing who we are. And what we discovered is we're bringing that presentation out your conversation as you work through the processes. It was getting the family members to understand who the veteran is and don't change them. Understand who they are, why they're that way, and embrace it, or at least understand that component. But back to the other point was when it comes to, and I'm going to target, you guys know I'm on there a lot. I maintain a lot of pages, a lot of groups. But anyway, at one point, one night, 11 o'clock at night, I'm working the department Facebook page. I get a message through the department Facebook page trying to connect. It's some off the wall entity in Timbuktu, America, reaching out because it was the one contact they had in North Dakota. Well, it turns out there was a Marine in southeast corner of North Dakota, which is approximately where that person lived, was approximately 4-hour drive from me. But coincidentally, I had a connection with, it was a cop, and I had a connection with another Marine in the northwest corner, which was another 5-hour drive away from me. But I reached out to that northwest corner, who that person got in touch with the southeast corner. And within half an hour, we got this person off the ledge. Okay. The point is, don't be afraid to ask, as Brian said, don't be afraid to ask those hard questions. Because if you beat around the bush, all you're doing is damaging what's out there. You ask those hard questions, you confront the issue. And that's one thing that I think many of us are afraid to do. So for that sense alone, Brian, thanks for bringing that piece out. And hopefully everyone can embrace that component of asking the right questions and sticking with the people. The other piece. So thank you again.
Thank you so much, Ray. And I'm sorry you get a little choked up, which causes me to choke up. I don't want to cry. Not a good place to be. So don't make me do that. Just going to share one quick story from myself. Nobody else has their hand up. Just a very, very brief not too long ago, I was in a dark place. Didn't feel so good, and I verbalized it. I verbalized it in a Facebook Messenger chat room that I'm in. And my phone rang and private messages overwhelmed me. So I took that step to say I was in a dark place, but then followed up with, I'm fine. I'm fine. No, they didn't give up on me. They didn't give up on me. And like I said, within moments, the phone rang. I was like, what just happened? I pressed enter on this message and my phone rang. So my brothers and sisters were there. And even though I said I was fine, I knew in the back of my mind what I was typing was a cry for help. And I kind of did it on purpose. I wanted somebody to reach out to me without asking somebody to reach out to me, if that makes any sense. So I'm doing better now. We're all doing better now. So we're going to go ahead and in the chat, I just wanted to point out the chat proper that is off to the right-hand side by clicking on that bubble along the bottom will not show up on the recording. The recording will go on the YouTube channel, which I did put that in the chat. That will not be in the recording. So at this time, as we're winding things up, make sure you scroll back up there. Some people have put other organizations that might be, something to grab onto. There was also some testimonials and stories. So please scroll around because that recorded chat will not show up on the YouTube video proper. I'm going to go ahead and take one last question, and then we're going to stop the recording for any social offline discussions that anybody would like to have. And so Jim Ulinsky, go ahead and close us out, please.
Since we were sharing, can you hear me?
We can.
In 1971, I left the Marine Corps. I was badly injured. I went from 156 pounds to 245 pounds in 6 months. I was told I would never walk, bend, crawl, stoop, lift, or anything else. So my wife was going back to Pittsburgh to resume a career until I can come back a few months later. We had a 2-year-old son. I sat in the living room in Laurel, Maryland, with a Distinguished Combat 357 Magnum in my lap, fully loaded, and a bottle of rum. I was drinking the rum, and I kept thinking about this young, beautiful woman and this beautiful baby, and they are going to be hampered by this massively overweight person who has no future. And I seriously thought about shooting myself. I actually put the gun to my head, but I lowered it. I talked to my wife about it, and she said, suck it up, you're a Marine. Get over it. We can work through this. And we did, and I have 2 adult children, 3 adult grandchildren. All those things would have never happened had I pulled that trigger at that moment in time. So if we can talk people through those issues at that initial time, it's amazing what might happen to that person down the road. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jim, for that. Brian, go ahead and close us out with any closing remarks, please.
Thank you so much. I'll close out on this. Some of the things that I spoke about, like I said, I'm the guy that doesn't know nothing, were reiterated tonight. And that's proof in the pudding. So just to hear some testimonials from people, to see the stuff that, I'll say this, the knowledge, experience, and the wealth of information, along with the compassionate care that's covered in our mission statement for HAMSO, was on display here tonight, and I know is more so carried throughout the entire National Marine Corps League. We have a lot of work to do. We've already done a good portion of it, but we're going to do some more with everyone's help. So I thank Victoria and I thank the Commandant for having this. And I look forward to seeing all you guys. I'll be doing a HAMSL presentation at Midwinter. And if you guys need anything or you need me to come out and do a presentation for your department, division, whatever, give me a shout. And I look forward to seeing everybody again. Thank you so much. Everybody have a safe night.
Thank you very much, Brian. Commandant Griffin, any closing remarks?
Yes, just briefly, Bill Taylor's question was answered when Brian said that he's going to be making a presentation in winter for outstanding presentation tonight. And I'll just say that past National Commandant Jack Ryan spoke to me about a year or so ago when I was senior vice, and he said, you don't have to be that smart to be the National Commandant. Surround yourself with smart people, everything will work out well. Well, you can see that I surrounded myself with smart people. Brian right there. So things are going to work out well. This program is we're going to carry this on, keep banging the gong, and we're going to make this a success that helps all of our Marines. So God bless Brian, and God bless everybody for helping us out. Thank you very much. Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you very much, Sir Commandant. I close out every one of my Marine Corps League Scuttlebutt hours by saying, please join us next month. It's always the second Tuesday of the month. I know a lot of attachments have meetings. That's why we do these recorded sessions. Always 1900 Eastern Standard Time. The next 3 months of topics will be discussed with my committee as we go ahead and set ourselves up. We do not ever host one the month of our national meetings, so there will not be one during midwinter, and there will not be one during the national convention. So I just look for those emails. And again, to everyone, do not make a decision on behalf of your membership. Don't say, oh, nobody's going to want to go. Please pass the information on, let it roll downhill, and let them make the decision if they'd like to attend. And that goes for all members in the Marine Corps League, and on some topics as well, our auxiliary members are welcome to join us. So thank you very much for joining me tonight. Again, Victoria McCoy, Public Relations Committee. If you ever need anything from us as a committee, public relations at mcleague.org. And I will say Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, whatever your holiday is during this season. Take care of yourself, take care of each other. Merry Christmas, Chesty, wherever you are.